YouTube has been around for so long, and I've noticed that a lot of creators all do the same thing. And what I mean by that is, if you're just getting into YouTube as an editor, or you're a creator that's trying to just get a little better at editing, or you're just curious on what some of the biggest creators in the world do, and it all really comes down to 4 things. So when it comes to editing, there's 2 buckets. There's the technical editing and there's the intuitive editing. When it comes to this video, we're just gonna be talking about the technical part because it's the easiest to kind of understand. Intuitive editing is like smoothness, pacing, music, all that stuff, which is a little more like flowy, kind of vibey territory, which is kind of hard to explain. So today we're gonna just be talking about the technical part, okay? Okay. So when it comes to editing on YouTube, usually there's kind of 4 techniques that people use, and the first one being zooms. See, zooms are something simple used to emphasize something. Like if I want to emphasize that I'm using my phone as a microphone, then I'd zoom into it, right? Or if I don't know, I wanted to zoom into my balding scalp, I'd zoom into that. Zooms are not a retention tactic. And I think now going into 2025, a lot of people are realizing on the internet, retention editing is not to keep somebody's attention, is making something that people want to see. Meaning it's not how to just do all the cool animation effects, VFX bullshit. It's just like, what are things that you can do to emphasize whatever the person's watching? And as an editor, there's a lot of things that you're gonna do that you're just gonna repeat a bunch of the times, which are like the simple stuff, which are like zooms. Zooms are one way to emphasize your point, or like in a talking head video and whatever you're editing, that person says something interesting and you want to emphasize that point, you would zoom in. And zooms can be used in a bunch of different ways. There's the cut zoom where you just like zoom into the thing. You have the slow pan where you kind of slowly zoom out. And there's also the inverse where you slowly zoom in. There's the quick zoom in, the quick zoom out. You can zoom in a bunch of different ways, but it's not just a way to hold somebody's attention. It's a way to emphasize your point. And you can do zooms 1,000 different ways, but it's not the only way to emphasize something. The second technical editing aspect that I see a lot of people do is text. You could do a lot with text, honestly. Text is another way to keep a person's attention if you do it stylistically. It's just a way to keep things clear. Now, text can definitely look cool, or it could just be simple, like subtitles. This is an easy way to make things clear. And when you're editing, when you're going through footage, let's say you were recording something outside, or let's say a client gave you something outside, and you can, after watching it so many times, you can kind of put together, or clearing up the audio, kind of put together what the person's saying, and you use subtitles to kind of clarify what is being said, because if the audio's not on point, subtitles can kind of alleviate that stress, right? Or let's say you have great audio, but it's just a still shot of the client. You maybe want to have some text popping up in cool different ways and disappearing so that the still frame, it feels more alive, you know? Or you just could have it boring. I don't know, like that, yeah. For the third one, this is one of my favorites, which is tracking. Tracking is so fun, and depending on your software, it can be a little difficult. Personally, the way I use tracking is, again, as an emphasis, whatever you're focused on, like as a track, is whatever is most important, right? If I want to emphasize me drinking a drink, let's say this was a sponsor, tracking it makes it seem, okay, this is what the viewer should be focusing on. And I don't know how you do it on Premiere or DaVinci. I personally use a plugin because I edit on Final Cut, and I think that I'll leave that in the description, where it's just, it's really simple. You know what? I'm gonna cut to me editing to track so you can see. Oh, okay. For when I'm tracking, I go to this plugin. It's FCPX Stabilizer. I cut these 2 portions out with the blade tool and make sure this is the only thing, because if not, when I apply the effect into the timeline, it's just gonna track the entire thing, and that's too much problem. That's a lot. So then when I drag it over, I'm gonna show stabilize thing. I'm gonna press this, and then I'm gonna track, allow, whatever, cool. Then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click this. I'm gonna then like just move it over the whatever subject that I want to like focus on, and then press one of these arrows. Usually, since it's always on the left, I press this one. That's actually not the best track, in the world. Yeah, that seems a lot smoother. Usually it's really good. This time it was like kind of finicky, but I only did it twice, and it takes literally no seconds. And I export the data, confirm, exit out, and then right there, and I'll play it out. Perfect, right there. And then to make sure like it's you know emphasized or whatever, I'll zoom in a little bit and then play it out.
smooth like butter.
Yeah, honestly, tracking is kind of like an enhanced version of Zoom. You can kind of combine both of them at the same time, Zoom and then track, which for me personally, I haven't found a way how to do it seamlessly where it's super easy. It's kind of a little finicky sometimes, but generally like tracking is just another way to emphasize, and it's something that people do a lot just because it's a cool effect. And the last one is honestly super useful, but probably to the pinnacle of what everybody uses when it comes to editing for like honestly like the biggest names in the industry when it comes to YouTube specifically, which is rotoscoping. Rotoscoping is used for everything. And when I mean everything, I mean for every meme, for every highly edited video on YouTube. It's used for all of it. Like if I wanted to just be somewhere, you know, in some other planet, some other room or whatever, I'd rotoscope myself out. Why? Because setting up a green screen is one way to roto yourself out without doing rotoscoping. But the problem with that is you have to set up the green screen. You need proper lighting. You need to make sure the colors that you have on you don't blend too much with the scenery that you're in, because it makes it a lot harder. And in rotoscoping, it matters a lot. It matters a lot. Like the way I do rotoscoping, I have to make sure whatever color I'm wearing or my skin tone doesn't blend with my background. So like right now, because of my hair and my skin, I'm like in between like my drapes or whatever, because the drapes are kind of my skin tone. So if I'm rotoscoping myself out, me wearing darker colors on this beige couch makes it a lot easier. If you're not doing that and the lighting is bad or whatever, it makes it a lot harder. I know in Premiere, you can do it, and you can probably do it easier. On After Effects, we have to switch things and you have to have the service or whatever. For me personally, on Final Cut, we got an update on Final Cut Pro 11, which is like, it's called the magnetic mask, which is basically rotoscoping. And it's honestly such a lifesaver and a time saver, because I wasn't able to do that, or I'd need to have a plugin or whatever. But now it's just innate. So now Final Cut, I'm living a dream, baby. So I'm happy. But on rotoscoping, honestly, like you can really do so much. And with this, I kind of want to give examples, because rotoscoping is a little more complicated. When you're doing a talking head, like let's say the client that you're working with is like, oh yeah, you know, like imagine just being underwater or whatever, and then you like rotoscope them into water. Or let's say you want to like protect Gotham and you're Batman, and you know, put them in Gotham City, and it's crazy, and you make it more realistic by changing the coloring of the rotoscope or whatever, right? Or you would want to put somebody in a 3D space. I'm not going to do that because I don't mess with 3D software like that, and I'm not that nice. I'm still learning, so I'm not going to. No. But with rotoscoping, you really can't do everything. It's super helpful. If you have a client that has a green screen, but their green screen is you green screen them out, or you key them out, and then you rotoscope them, you're able to do a lot with it. And honestly, with these 4 things, you're not gonna need much else. Like obviously you need to learn about music, pacing, and that stuff is extremely important. Making sure your story and whatever is being said makes sense and it's cohesive and it's not boring throughout the entire thing is extremely important. But yeah, as a freelance editor myself, as somebody that works with different clients, these are 4 that I have to use constantly. Personally, because I mostly do podcasts as my day job. It's not the only thing I know how to do, but you gotta pay the bills. But when it comes to complexity, those are the top 4 that are just like, you're gonna use these. You wanna be able to have these skill sets in your repertoire because it's kind of what makes you money. Obviously, you have to learn how to edit and learn pacing. It's really those 4 things. So practice that. Hopefully I was able to give you a good enough thing.